about it for video games.
So yeah, like video games apart, bro. Like I know you've been doing music for over 10 years. How did that also come into play? Like we grew up on video games. How did you
Right.
like diversify into like music? Like did how did you react to like also that's another question too, bro. Like two-part question. How did you like react to like soundtracks in video games? Like did you like for me, like I didn't really like pay attention to the soundtrack unless they were good. But
Right.
for you, whenever it came in like techno music and a cutscene, they're like, "Oh, that's bumping." Like were you 12 and you're like, "Man, that's bumping." Like, how did
Yeah.
you like? How does your music mind form? And like
Uh
switch to music.
Honestly, I can't really even say, bro, 'cause it's like I've always loved music. Love music since maybe a teenager. I think some of the stuff when I think a teen that was really in touch with me is like Green Day, Linkin Park, uh Eminem too. My dad used to have a big collection of CDs, like classic CDs, like
Yeah,
anything from Tupac, DMX, rest in peace, DMX, Beastie Boys. He had the first Linkin. I don't think it's the first, but the first popular Linkin Park album, Hybrid Theory, and 3 6 Mafia. Just everything. I feel like I got that inspiration of music from my parents because they both have their own personal taste in music, but that influenced me to branch out my own tastes in music. So like I said, I had the little MP3 player, and I would just jam out. A little cheap little MP3 player, little cheap little headphones, and just jam out. And then I think eventually that led on to, well, I'll get into this. Back in eighth grade, one of my homeboys at Harmony, like I talked about Harmony earlier, one of my homeboys from there, Sergio, shout out Sergio. He's the one that helped me get started, honestly. Shout out my bro Sergio. He had this program called Virtual DJ, and it was available for Mac and PC. He gave me that on a USB, and I was taking the music I had from my library from the MP3 and my little iPod Classic. All those songs I had them on on file in my little folders on my old computer, old computer. So I would mess around with that and just just like learn how to DJ, I guess. Like just terribly mixing songs, terribly mixing genres. Like just it was all terrible, but that was the beginning of it. And what's it called? I started out with mouse and keyboard, because like my little mouse right here, not this one, but back in the day, a little mouse, and you can load up your little cue points and all. I wish I can show like a screen share of it, but I don't have that program installed. I haven't had that program installed for a while. But like I said, I started on mouse and keyboard, just like mixing songs, and eventually I started to record the little mixes or whatever I was doing. I started recording that, and I think my dad picked up on what was developing as well, what would be my passion now. He saw the beginning stages of that, and the beginning stages led him to buy me a controller. And actually, I pulled it out just for this instance right here. I pulled it out. I got it right here in my first little DJ controller, like the Newmark Mix Track Pro, and that came back. I think it came out in 2010 or something like that, and it was compatible with Virtual DJ. So I'm gonna show it real quick to you guys. I don't know if you can see it, but yep, that's it. I still have it to this day, 10, 11 years later, the little controller right here. And that's how I started. He got me that, and then he got me some speakers. Some speakers. I think back then we had there's different versions of speakers. So we used to have to run an amp, like an amplifier. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but an amp would run to speakers that weren't powered. So like, no, it was a little bit ghetto, but it worked. And I think my first gig was one of my parents' best friends or one of their friends uh son's graduation party, but I didn't have my controller at this time. I just had my little mouse and keyboard, and that was my first gig. Like, I guess kind of like a gig, 'cause it was like a little backyard party, graduation party, and mouse and keyboard, and I was literally just playing, and just it was nerve wracking, and it was anxious, and I was real nervous, but it felt good, And I think after that, like I said, my dad eventually got me that controller. Then I started to learn how to mix with the controller and with a piece of hardware, and eventually from that I upgraded the version I had of Virtual DJ back then to a newer version, and then I started picking up more gigs in the family. Like, what's it called? I think the second gig I did was maybe Easter party for one of my parents' friends. They always have this Easter party because they live over there in Pleasant Grove, and you have over there you have like acres kind of thing. So they would scatter all the little eggs for the little Easter egg hunt, and I used to DJ those. So that's kind of how it began. That was like one of those are like one of my bigger gigs or events or whatever you want to call them. And eventually, I kind of did stuff like that here and there, little birthday parties too. It was basically just kind of all in the family. But I think I had a tough time with learning how to mix and learning how to choose tracks and track selection and how to transition mixes, bring one song in, cut the other song out kind of thing. I had a tough time, but luckily, YouTube, shout out to YouTube, huge inspiration that I pulled from YouTube videos and DJ tutorials, how to mix, how to scratch, how to choose songs, how to start DJing. All of that is what helped me, because I guess I kind of was self-taught. And one of my dad's DJ friends, who I don't know if I talked about it last time, but he helped me build what is currently my music library. So back then he gave me, I don't know, like 300 tracks. And like literally now I've been building on that library for 10, 11 years now. And now it's like 9,000 tracks kind of thing. So it's a huge difference. But shout out to him, DJ Rob. Shout out DJ Rob. He helped me get what I needed to begin my music library basically, and I built it off of that. He gave me anything from hip hop to EDM was popping at the time, electro dance music, house music, electro house, all that was popping there. And I used to love that too back in the day. I still do now, but not really as much as I did back then. And hip hop, I wouldn't say reggaeton back then because I don't think it was really popping up until, I don't know, like 2015, 2016. It kind of came back into play.
Bro, you did not just say that.
What you mean?
Bro, they had reggaeton back in Mexico. When I lived in Mexico, bro, man, they had reggaeton, bro. They had all of them. I need to
But
help
I
you on that.
but
Like
I
they
feel
had,
like I'm saying from like 2011 to like 2015, 16. I don't know. I guess I didn't really know about it. Only reggaeton I remember from back in the day was like Daddy Yankee Gasolina or like Nicky Jam or Don Omar, like stuff like that, like the
yeah.
classics. But I don't really remember reggaeton, nor did I really, I guess, care for it honestly at that time,
I'm
because
sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
but
Like,
now of course I do. Like it's popping. That's what I play in my sets now. But I guess going back to the whole library thing, like I said, shout out to DJ Rob, helped me start. And like I said, I built it off of what he gave me 10, 11 years, and now I have like 9,000 tracks. So literally whatever you can think of, rock, hip hop, house, reggaeton, just everything. So eventually, I think around graduation time, back when I graduated in 2014, I kind of took a break from doing the little gigs and the little parties I was doing, just to focus on, my senior year towards the end, I guess. And then eventually, of course, I still like practice and all that, of course, that was still there, but like actually doing gigs or doing little parties that I was doing for family events or for a favor or for family friends kind of thing. Like I kind of took a break around that time. think eventually, like I really picked it back up maybe in 2016. Of course, I can't show the controller that I eventually bought. I bought this controller called the NS7, the original NS7. They have like three versions of that now, but the original NS7 is like a huge board, and it had moving platters, kind of like if you think of a turntable, it had moving platters, but like real small, like real 7 inch, kind of like a 45. If you know what a 45 is, it was kind of that size, and that's probably my favorite piece of gear, honestly, that right there. And that led me to eventually getting back into it, learning how to use this new mixture that I had. And I did kept on doing parties after that. I think I did a wedding maybe for one of my family friends. Did a little wedding. Uh did think I guess I can speed up and get to the last gig I did, which was my great grandma's 85th birthday, uh, 2 3 years
Congrats,
ago, I
bro.
think. But that was probably my biggest, because literally it was bringing my family together. Family from Mexico. We have family in all different places of Texas. Out of different states. Just everybody just came there. That's probably my biggest event, and it was a big thing because it was an 85th. But I feel like I did a pretty good job. I would think I messed up like once or twice, but we ain't gonna get into that. But that was probably my best gig, my biggest gig, my best gig, and the gig that I'm most proud of. So I guess it kind of wraps up the gig section of, because that was like literally like my last gig that I did, and that was in 2018. So since around that time, uh, throughout, I guess I didn't say this, but throughout the whole years of doing that, I was, recording myself, up until the beginning when I started, and I, still record myself now making mixes and what's it called? So I would upload these mixes I recorded to SoundCloud. I used to have them on YouTube, but of course with the whole copyright thing, all my stuff got flagged. Yeah, it all got flagged, unfortunately. But with that YouTube thing, it helped me learn how to use. I think I was using like Windows Movie Maker, Windows something, making little videos and all that on. But yeah, like I would always upload mixes to SoundCloud, specifically SoundCloud, and I still do. Now there's things like, you can upload to Spotify, you can upload to Apple Music, but I don't think you can do that as a DJ, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but what's it called? With copyright and everything, I tried that before, routing my SoundCloud feed into the Spotify feed, and eventually, like it was open, but eventually they took it down for copyright claims. So, what's it called? So SoundCloud, I always had mixes on there. I used to, I guess I can get into